Okay, hello. This is the City's Old Boys podcast. My name is Zach Costa, and this is
Kalmar.
Mark. We're going to be talking about all things rugby. So for me, it'll be the All Blacks, and for Carl, it'll be
Australia and the local comp, particularly the women's rugby here in Brisbane.
Yep. So those are the things we're hoping to cover. Give you a little bit of fun along the way as well. And the why. Why are we doing this? Well, for me, my why is I've seen plenty of podcasts around, and I think we can offer a point of difference. Also, you'll get to know us as like true believers of the game as well, and plenty of people have their own opinions. We lived and breathed rugby basically our whole lives as well, so this is just our point on it, our take on rugby the way it is right now.
I find plenty of these podcasts super interesting, but they focus on international rugby, super rugby, all of which we love, we follow. It's all fantastic, no dramas. But people forget, a bloke like myself, I played 30 plus seasons of country rugby. I never got paid. I paid every year for the privilege, and I loved every single minute of it. And I think people forget that when you go down to the rugby here on a Saturday, the first game's at 8 o'clock or, 10 past 8 in the morning and goes right through till 7 o'clock at night, 99% of those people are paying their own way. They're taking time out and they're living what I call a rugby life, which is, great community involvement, great friendships, and great teammates.
So jumping right into it, the test matches from last night. So we'll start with the Wallabies.
Look, it was a great performance from Australia. Really good performance. I think it's what we should be doing. Italy are ranked 10th in the world. I'm not even entirely sure where we are, whether we're above them or below them, but we are a better rugby nation than Italy. And should have put them away. I think Italy the wheels fell off a little bit for them. We've still got some problem areas in the scrum, definitely. Their tight head prop, the one who ended up getting red carded from the bench, which was interesting. Don't see that very often. But he schooled our loose head props. Australia's got some problems there, but they're problems that are generational. Probably when Eddie was Australian coach in his first time round, and I remember being at a seminar he was running where he talked about scrummaging going out of the game and how all coaches need to go away from the traditional types of scrummages. Now, fast forward a decade, that 5-10 year period where we sort of followed Eddie Jones's lead on that has proven to be wrong. And we're lacking those props that have got 150 club games and are, in their early 30s and have learned all the dark arts and, can put scrummaging first. Too many times over the years I've heard Australian coaches say things like, oh, yeah, but he's like having another loose forward on the field. But he's not like having a scrummager on the field. He's not doing his job in the scrum. Angus Bell is a talent. He really is. But he's very young. And traditionally, people accepted that, props don't become world-class until their late 20s, early 30s. Mm-hmm. Wishing it was so isn't going to make it so. We have to spend time and develop these props. Some of them will need to go overseas to Europe where they will learn how to scrummage really well. Mark my words, Temi Alatupo will become the best prop in the world in the next 5 years because he's in France scrummaging against quality scrummagers all day. But that aside, back row went really well. Carlo. Oh, wow. What a game. I rate Fraser McWright. I think he is probably, next to Peter Steph Toy, the best open side in the world. Yeah. And I went, oh, well, you've got to give him a rest, fair enough. But Carlo he went great. He absolutely went fantastic in a game structure these days that doesn't reward ball scavengers. You know, he got 3, which was a great performance. That big second rower playing his 4th test scored a hat trick.
Hat trick, unheard of.
Absolutely brilliant.
Second rower.
For me, the real find for Australia going forward is something I didn't see coming, which was Len Ikitau at 12. When they first put him there, we've lacked a quality hard 12 for a fair while now. You know, Hunter Paisami, little injury prone, great player, little injury prone, but he probably wasn't getting there. When they moved Len Ikitau there, I didn't think he would be able to do the job. I really thought he was a 13 or a 14 is what I thought. Happily say I've proven wrong. The partnership between him and Swahili is just awesome. Once you can safely secure your midfield, then your forwards can do their job and lay a platform and look at what our wingers are doing. You know, our wingers, our outside backs, our fullbacks. We've never really had problems there. You know, we've always had quality wingers, quality fullbacks. It was just, did we have the people that could secure the midfield, allow the forwards to lay a platform and give service, give good ball service?
I think you said it the other day, whether they were asked whether they were happy that Mark Nawaqanitasi was coming back into Union. I think you said that, don't really need wingers. You're not too fussed about it.
Yeah, look, I think he's a great player. I don't know that he's a starting winger yet. He's a very good player. There's no question about that, right? But he's no better a finisher than any of the wingers that we had last night.
Potter played outstanding.
Yeah, and Dylan Peach was out for I think a head concussion. You know, and Potter wouldn't have got a start. That's never been our issue. It's never been our issue. Our issue.
Always had good looksies on.
Our issue in the last, in my opinion, 10 years has been our tight 5. We haven't valued them the way the dominant countries at the moment are valuing them. If you look at your South Africa, France, Ireland, right, they have fantastic tight 5s, you know, and fantastic tight 5s, 2 and 3 deep in each position.
Yes.
You know, I think even with, you know, we could go on to the New Zealand game now. I think that's where New Zealand are turning it around. I watched their game last week. You know, a dominant performance. And then again last night, a fantastic performance against an Irish side that are quality.
Like you said, the current trend, well, I think the Super Rugby trend is to have the front rowers. And I'll speak like I'm a back. I don't know too much about the dark arts of the front row. However, this fascination for the athlete as a front rower. So you've seen from the All Blacks, they started Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax. They're not noted ball carriers or flashy kind of guys. Not really. They go about their business in a very humble type way, which is what you want from a front rower. Their core duties done to perfection. And if you can add a little sparkle after that, like I like the way we brought on, I think it's Xavier Numia. Like he's got a little bit of flash too, but we also brought on, what was his name? The front row from the Canterbury side, and he's a no nonsense kind of guy too. So 3 out of your 4 props on your team, no nonsense, no frizz. However, really good at core duties, line outs, ruck and maul, and scrummage. So 100%.
A really good example of that is last night. In the Australia game, they're raving and talking about, and I don't want to sound like I'm anti the bloke because I'm not. I do believe he is our best open side or loose head prop at the moment. But they're talking about and raving about Angus Bell's footwork and, you know, his ball carry and his loose play. But he gave away 3 or 4 scrum penalties for getting. He just got dominated by Massi, the tight head prop from Italy. Just owned him. Now, it didn't matter in that game, but in closer games, there is a reason why South Africa have been so successful. They go to a scrum. They don't even think about the scrum isn't won until they get their penalty advantage. Then they get a free play of the ball, and if they don't score, they come back and get another play. It's, and that's just their scrum dominance, and that's all they're interested in. Their scrummages scrummage. First and foremost, that's their job. I saw an interesting comment, and I thought it was probably spot on, which is when we see South Africa play New Zealand in this Six Nations or sub.
Yes, so the All Blacks are going on a tour of South Africa, which will be fascinating. It's like the old school full tour where they have midweekers from the All Blacks playing their provincial sides and then test matches at the weekend. So, yeah, it'll be a real examination of where New Zealand's at. Or both countries.
Well, the interesting thing is, and this was the comment I saw, which I really thought was profound when I heard it, which is it'll be interesting to see either the gap between South Africa and New Zealand is still large, which means the gap between South Africa and the rest of the world is massive because the gap between New Zealand and the rest of the world is big. Or New Zealand and South Africa are really close at the moment and there's a gap to the rest of the world, right? Now, we won't know that till after this tour because, South Africa belted Wales last night, but it's Wales and they're doing it tough at the moment. We talk about being 3 deep, 5 deep. I've said many times to my Kiwi brother here before, it reminds me of the days in the 90s with cricket where we could win a rugby game, they couldn't win a test match. We had, every position in our cricket team, we had 3 or 4 or 5 world-class replacements for. They had none, and it was the same in reverse in rugby. And they go to some primary school and find another kid better and keep destroying us. Well, that's what South Africa are like at the moment. I mean, they played...
Oh, it's such a production line at the moment.
Last night's 16 changes to the week before.
Yeah.
Debutantes.
Yeah.
And they come out and rack up 40-plus points to nil.
Yeah, that's right. And we're still talking about international footy here. That's the best on offer. Like, they call them test matches for a reason. So it's a true test of your rugby systems back at home as well. So South Africa to be doing that. And it hurts me to say this as a New Zealand, but the South Africans are clearly number one. So wherever we are in the pecking order is fine, but we're all chasing South Africa.
But it reminds me of the Kiwi side back in 2011? They were brilliant, and they were so much better than everyone else, and we chased them, and the standard of world rugby rose.
Yes. Here's the new bar.
Yeah, here's the new bar. Yeah. And that's what we'll get here. This is the new bar, and we will have to rise to it, and we've seen it. It was Joseph Smith's last game in charge of Australia. He has done a fantastic caretaker role. As a die-hard Australian supporter, I can live with losing. I don't like it, but I can live with it. What I need to see is effort and pride in wearing that jersey and an understanding of how significant it is. For someone like me who played 30-plus years, and the closest I ever came to a Wallaby was sitting in the stands at, Suncorp Stadium and watching them. There was no other way I was ever going to get there. That has come back in now. It was there for sure many years ago, but somewhere along the way we lost it. Players, I know it's a business now and that makes it hard for them, but it still should be pride in your country, something that New Zealand has never lost. South Africa seems to have found in abundance. Maybe they always had it, I don't know. Yeah. And Australia lost somewhere along the way.
It didn't hurt them enough to lose.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't hate it. It's not that they don't like winning. They didn't hate to lose as much. It didn't really hurt them, but you could see the pain in the captain's voice, Harry Wilson, the other week. He said, we just got to get better, but you've seen it in him. And he's your captain, so...
Yeah. I look at the games and I go, you know, what did we play? France, Ireland, or Ireland, France? What was the order? I can't remember.
Ireland, France last week, and then Italy this week. Yeah,
you know, both games in front at half time.
Yeah.
Just couldn't finish it out.
Yeah.
But you lose games that you think you could have won if you had played better on your way to becoming a winning side. That's part and parcel of what it is.
Yeah, you've got to be in the picture to be able to score. Like, these weren't blown off the park both times.
Yes.
And you knew the Aussies were in the fight basically all the way until it gets away from them at the end. So there's real potential there.
I think so.
Real. Like, I've always seen it. Have a look at them on paper as well. I'm quite excited by the Aussies, what they can put up.
I do think, and I know it's self-serving because I'm an Australian supporter, but for World Rugby to be good, Australia needs to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
For the All Blacks to be good, Australia needs to be strong.
That's also true as well. Yes.
You know, we said we weren't going to talk much about Super Rugby, but I think if we could get a more united consensus on our Super Rugby, as all Australian Super Rugbies work towards making the Australian team better, you know, just like they do in South Africa, just like, you know, they used to do in New Zealand, and I'm sure they'll get back to doing it. You know, there was a time in New Zealand where every single game of rugby in New Zealand was about making sure that the systems worked for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Right? We need to get back to that now, Super Rugby. It is difficult because it is a business, and in this business, winning pays you money. So therefore, we have different things. But you know, it's no surprise, and I say this, it's no surprise that James Slipper has become a world-class loosehead prop at the age he is now, when people often forget the man didn't play a test match for maybe 5-6 years. He played 50-odd test matches, 60 test matches, then got dropped because he wasn't good enough. He went away, he learnt his trade, and he came back. He's not trying to be a young, you know, extra loose forward running around. He's a tight five. He's a scrummager, and he protects. He stands at one beside the ruck, and he defends tight, and he does the things he's supposed to do, right? You know, small tradesman-like roles done well will give you an overall result.
Yeah, leave the point scoring to the superstars.
Yeah. Australia couldn't win ball for a couple of years there. It was quite painful to watch.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, it was.
Now, as for our 5'8" issue...
What's a curse?
Carter Gordon is the guy.
He's the guy.
When he comes back from injury, he's the guy. I watched him at club level for Wests. You could tell he was special, right? Eddie Jones did a number on him, taking him to the World Cup as the only 5'8" in a side that was never going to win anything, and then fed him to the Wolves. And I'm an Eddie Jones fan.
Me too.
I'm an Eddie Jones fan.
Me too.
Right? But there was some weird stuff there, you know. Time over again, you might do that slightly differently. Going to Japan and signing Bernard Foley on an Australian rugby contract is not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the answer.
The opposite is true with backs from the England. There's not many.
No, not many backs.
There's not many.
You know, Ma Nonu.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, he's still kicking around.
He could be a vampire. You don't know.
You do have freaks of nature. You do have freaks of nature.
But we'll talk All Blacks under Rennie. I'm really, really happy for Dave Rennie. I think he was very unfairly treated by the ARU.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? And there was a part of me that thought not only was he unfairly treated, he'd done his dash, he'd never get a spot at the All Blacks because he must be the first All Blacks coach that's coached Australia.
Yes, you just thought once you take that job, once you take that role on with the Wallabies, you give that all away.
Yes.
You give that. It's not hard for you anymore.
So I'm quite happy for him. I think he's a quality coach. More importantly, he's a very precise and calm human being.
Uh-huh.
And he's shown that. He's made, under Razor, I thought, clearly there was a plan. I just don't know that anyone knew what it was, and you couldn't tell what it was week to week because no two games looked the same, right? No two lineups look the same. I think, if you've got cattle and you know they're good, then pick them, play them. If they can't do the job, go to someone else. But play them one week, not play them the next week, backwards and forwards, and not for the same reasons that, say, someone like Rassie's doing, where he's just blooding players because he has the quality around him to be able to survive that, right? He was doing it because he couldn't find exactly what he wanted, right? That creates an anxiety in the player. And you think to yourself, oh, the players aren't performing. I see them at club level and Super Rugby level, and they're so much better than this. It's because, in my opinion, at that level, they're relaxed. They're not fearful that next week they'll be on the bench, out of the squad, in a different position. Yet, in the words of one of the great coaches of all time, Wayne Bennett, you don't suddenly become a bad player. They weren't good players one week and then they're no good the next week.
Yeah.
Something's happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And it's your job as a coach to find out and give them opportunities to resolve it.
Yes. Agree with that.
And I think that's what Dave Rennie will bring to this side. I think he'll bring stability and calmness. I expected Ireland to be there, right to the death. Really close game. The score flattered Ireland, in my opinion. I thought New Zealand looked in control the whole time. Never looked like they had any problems anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
Scrummaged really well, which is a great thing because Ireland are a good scrummaging team.
They are a good scrummaging team.
I think the best is obviously South Africa. I think the second best is probably France at full strength.
Yeah. Given their size. Yeah.
And then Ireland. Yeah. So Ireland are a great scrummaging team. And I think New Zealand went really well. Picked quality props.
The no-nonsense back row as well. Like, they're still experimenting, which I love. Like, they're giving blokes a chance. However, they've got a workman-like seventh with Jacobson, the typical hard-working flanker that you want, just the dirty, no-nonsense. Although that yellow card was just ridiculous. You just have a brain explosion, and those sort of moments will cost you in bigger tests as well. They will. But, outside of that, I really did like the makeup of our back row.
Because your back row was Jacobson, Severe at 8.
And Tupou Vaa'i. Like a converted second row.
Yeah. My issue is, and this is, I think Ardie Savea is a great player. He's a little unlucky, right? I think he's a great player in the time when New Zealand doesn't have great players in those positions. Like in the past, right, I would argue that Ardie Savea would not have pushed out a Kieran Reid, Richie McCaw, old mate with the blonde flat top.
Oh, Jerry Collins.
Yeah. Michael Jones, Josh Kronfeld. I think Ardie Savea is a very good player, but he's not an 8. He's not big enough to be a 6.
Yeah.
Right. He probably can play 7. He can play 7. He can play 7.
I've got him as a 7.
Yeah. So for me, I think Jacobson did really well, and that's great. Maybe he's big enough to play 6. Maybe. Sure. But I think Wallace Satiti probably needs to find a spot back in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Into that back row. And, whether it's at 6 or 8, I think he probably needs to be back in there. 8's are big and mobile and have silky skills, and Artie Severe's 2 of those things, not 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Artie gets away with the size difference, I believe, just through attitude. Like he's a hard running, hard charger. But I still believe, like he's a 7. I don't think he's either big enough for the 8 role or doesn't bring those core skills of an 8, which I love core skills in each back row. Look, you look at the Aussies. It's beautiful. Harry Wilson, big dude, big size, gets around the park. You've got your veteran, either Tizzano or McWright, and your big no-nonsense 6.
Yeah.
Like, have a look back when the All Blacks were strongest, we played a traditional style back row.
Yeah.
You just have a look at them.
Yeah.
There is a formula for all things as well. Like, there's a formula for the scrum. There's a formula for even your, obviously your back line, but your back row.
Yeah.
Formula that works.
I think 7 is the position he should play, because I think there's probably better players in the other 2 positions.
Mm-hmm.
I think you play that All Black team last night and you have Wallace at 8 instead of
Artie.
The result's much the same.
Yeah.
Right? So all things being equal, the bigger person gets the role. I mean, now that should be incredibly evident to old mate from the Hurricanes, the 7 from the Hurricanes.
Duplessis, terrific.
Yeah, Duplessis, terrific. I mean, the man is a pure 7. He is a true, pure 7. But he's small, which means he can't play anywhere else. And the scavenger game is not really a game anymore. Like I watched Carlos last night get 3 turnovers at the breakdown. First time in ages I've seen 3 turnovers in a game total. They're so rare now.
Yeah.
So players have to bring a little bit more. But great to see quality performance from the All Blacks. I won't be saying that come Bledisloe, but I'll live with it.
You can finally see direction now as well. Because let's be honest here, Razor got sacked, and he had a 75% win record.
Oh yeah, you're ruthless. You're ruthless.
Ruthless there. But we, as an All Black fan, we can be really one-eyed. As much as what we say we understand the game, I tend to be quite analytical and conservative in my life. However, once the All Blacks, once they kick off, once they do the haka, once they kick off, oh my gosh, I'm a fucking mess. Like, it's hard to think rationally for me.
For me, the other really crazy thing with All Black supporters is you just get criticised for winning. Like coaches get criticised for winning.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You didn't win well enough. You didn't win in the style that we wanted. Mate, we'll take a win.
Yeah.
Right? The other team's bus breaks down and they forfeit the World Cup final. That'll do me.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it all day long.
Which is the case with New Zealand as well. So looking back, that's just madness. So how do we get out of this situation? Like, lower expectations? No, we have an expectation of the black jersey. Therefore, so the players are saying right now it's the privilege is a pressure, or pressure is privilege. So So maybe the All Blacks fans, I'm one of them, just to cool our brakes on that.
No, it's not going to happen.
No, it won't happen.
It's not going to happen. It's your single greatest export, the All Blacks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Players, coaches all around the world. That's what New Zealand.
Who's the coach of the All Blacks? Well, Jesus, let's get this right. And then he only did a 70% win rate, 70% win.
Yeah.
Take that in any sporting code.
Yeah.
Across the history of all sports.
Yeah.
Nah, he's gone, mate.
Yeah,
No,
you're
we didn't
out.
like it.
Yeah,
We didn't like it.
yeah,
See you
yeah.
later.
To be fair, it was the first time that I'd ever seen the New Zealand Rugby Board bow to media pressure,
Yes, social
social pressure,
social media, pretty much.
which was, we have to have Scott Robertson, we have to have Razor. If we don't get him, he'll leave and coach someone else.
Yeah.
Like all these other great coaches have done and then come back. I mean, they go, but look at his record. His record was with Canterbury. I could have coached Canterbury.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
I'll come on as a backs coach for that.
Yeah, I've got a grandson.
5'8"? Oh, Dan Carter.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But no, if not him, you got Richie McCaw. So, there's your second stringer. Yeah, Richie Mwanga, sorry. Yeah. But, I've got a grandkid who could probably coach, Christchurch.
Yeah.
The Crusaders. They were unbelievable. Are unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yes.
But yes, no. So that might wrap us for the internationals.
Yeah.
And we'll go on to the local comp.
The local comp.
Easts. They beat Bond. Bond were last year's premiers. Bond have been doing quite well.
47-44.
Bond are not a defensively huge side. They are a try-scoring side. So they score lots of points and they just bank on scoring more points than you will. It'll be interesting because for the ladder, that moves East into fourth and pushes Bond down to sixth. I don't know now if Bond can make the finals. I don't know if Bond, mathematically they can, but their run home is a little tougher. Probably the big, the interesting one was Norths versus Brothers, which is first versus second. Norths Rugby Club, who have, no disrespect to anyone, love Norths as a club, love their facilities, fantastic juniors. If you've got kids who are wanting to play rugby, going to Norths to play rugby, you could do far worse. They are great people, wonderful people. Traditionally, they love rugby and they have not been a serious threat to the competition. I'm not saying they don't play good rugby and they have some good players, but traditionally it would be fair to say that if a player took their rugby more seriously, then perhaps leaving Norths and going to a different club might be something they would consider. Big change. They got some new committee personnel, moved from a very strong club over to them, and with them came some very, very, very bright and up and coming Colts 1 players, and they recruited really well. They got the young halfback who I'd seen at Brothers, playing Premier at Brothers, and they have had a fantastic season. They're second on the ladder, and deservedly so. Now, they played Brothers on the weekend. Brothers are first on the ladder, undefeated. They've had 1 draw, but have been handing out some beltings. They won 36-26, I think was the score, which I know Brothers won it, but that's a great result for Norths because 10 points in a game of rugby is a momentary lapse, a penalty try and a try.
10 points is nothing.
10 points is nothing. So that's, for me, a really good gauge of where they are. But I think in the first round, Brothers might have given them a touch-up. So I think that's a really, really good result. UQ had the bye. Sunnybank beat Jeeps 22-24, which is a really good game, but you're talking about a game against, last and second last. But, a good result for them. And probably the game that had a consequence on the ladder was West's first grade versus South's first grade. I went and watched that game. West won 28-26, 4 tries apiece. 1 missed conversion was the difference. Really, really good game. Salakai Aloto, the Reds and Wallabies second rower. was playing for South.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, step above. I did wonder why he wasn't in the Australian squad. I don't know this for sure, but a couple of people in the crowd said that his partner's just had a baby, and that was perhaps why he wasn't there. You know, he was home, but he was having a run for his club side, South.
Yeah.
Really, really something special. Kids were super excited. Adults were super excited. I mean, this is a star you watch on TV, and where you're watching him, and you know he's walking down the sideline past us, saying hello to kids, and you know, in general, doing a great thing.
So good when the Wallabies get back.
Look,
when your internationals, even Super Rugby guys can get back and support locally.
Yeah. Look, I'm a big fan of his anyway. Many years ago, when I was in Emerald in Central Queensland, we had a junior club there. And when the Reds were under Brad Thorne, he had a policy of, on their bye weekends and free weekends, he would send players out to the country. They wouldn't stay in motels. They'd be billeted with families. And Salakaya, Loto, Hunter Paisami, Jock Campbell, they were the 4 that were given to us, and they would come out there, and you know, it's a country town. They'd end up out roo shooting and pig hunting, and then hanging out and signing 1 million autographs and passing footballs to kids, and they were fantastic. It was a fantastic thing that happened. You know,
they've had a long-standing tradition of that too. Queensland Reds.
Yeah,
because Drew Mitchell came out one time as well.
Yeah,
Eddie Jones has been out to many sort of things as well.
Yeah, Eddie Jones came to our club presentation night. Remember? Nathan Sharp came out. Nathan Sharp came out, and then went on a drinking binge, and we might have thought we'd lost him. He was fine. He was fine. We found him. So for us, that puts with the ladder, you've got Brothers first, North second, West third, and East fourth. It's a really, apart from Brothers being at the moment a clear head and shoulders above everyone else, the next sort of 4 or 5 places on that ladder are really tight. Week in, week out, those teams are beating each other. If you don't turn up and bring your game, you get done. There's no easy wins in that competition. The quality of rugby is really there. I'm going to say this because we may as well get it over and done with. You're either a Brothers fan or you're not.
True.
I'm not. You know? So,
and they would take no offence at that either.
Brothers are an awesome club. They are so strong. Their players are so committed to them. They're so strong in all the grades, you know, seconds, thirds, fourths, right down to sevenths, in Colts 1 through to 6, wherever they go. They're absolutely incredible because Brothers players are Brothers players for life. They never lack for coaches, water boys, committee members. They don't struggle for those things, which for me, not being a Brothers player, means you're jealous and envious of them. So you're either a Brothers fan or you're not.
That's true. Yeah, you'd love to beat them.
Yes. So for me, it's a let's wait and see, because I think barring something bizarre happening, the way the QRU do their finals is the old traditional top 4, 1 and 2 playoff, winner goes into the grand final, 3 and 4 playoff, losers out, winner plays the loser of 1 and 2. So Brothers will get 2 chops to get into the grand final. I cannot see how they won't get there. And then it'll be up to whoever makes it to put a performance on to see if they can stop them. This is Brothers who they lost last year to Bond. I think they won the 2 years before that, lost to West the year before that, won the year before that, maybe lost to West the year before that. So it's like 5 or 6 grand finals in a row they've made. Yeah. You know, they're incredibly strong.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would say for Brothers is I would like to see them put that strength behind their women's team. You know, the Brothers women's team has been struggling for quite a while now. You know, the resources that they promote towards their men's team just don't seem to make the journey across. I thought they started to turn that around last year, but for whatever reason, and it's not all they're doing. Brothers signed a whole heap of players who then got taken into the red squad, which then made them unavailable.
Hard to get results when your best players are
not there. Yeah. They also had, found I don't know what it is, an in or whatever with the army, and they picked up a lot of army players, but those girls are also in the red squad, right? And when they're not in the red squad, they're in the rep army squad.
Okay.
So they're not available for a large amount of games. Looks very good on paper.
Yeah. It's a usability thing.
The way the Super Rugby for women works is basically once they get pulled into that squad, they don't play for your club. I mean, we're 4 games from the end of the season, and if you've got a player in the Super Rugby squad, they'll only become available to you next week after the Reds lost the semi-final yesterday. That will be the first time you see those players.
Yeah, so it'll be a squad of about 30 players?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So 30 players evenly distributed out amongst the teams. That's a lot of players unavailable.
Well, you would think it'd be evenly distributed, but it tends not to be. And don't get me wrong, same thing happens for the men. I mean, I'm sure brothers would love to have Fraser McWright and Harry Wilson and all those boys, sort of every week. James O'Connor and what's his name?
Tate McDermott?
No. Tate McDermott's UQ.
Oh, okay.
But, yes, the men's teams have the same problems. It's just that they've got a bigger pool to draw from.
Yeah.
So there are 9 Prem's women's teams. And what you have is when we moved to Brisbane about 5 years ago, so my wife and youngest daughter could pursue playing a higher level of rugby, there was, in my opinion, there was 3. I would say 3. There were 3 very good women's Prem sides, 3 okay women's Prem sides, and 3 that were really struggling. The quality of rugby in that bottom 2/3 realistically wasn't much better than what we had left in the country women's program they were playing in. Right, it really wasn't much better, and predominantly it was around the clubs committing to it. Now, to their benefit, to their credit, the clubs have really embraced it. The person coaching the women's Prem team when I came to Brisbane was the person in the club who was prepared to do it. If they said, yeah, okay, I'll do it, then they got the Prem's team.
Yeah.
Right. Now we're seeing the clubs are, obviously the best coaches Prems. The next best coach probably coaches Colts 1. And then the third best coach is either coaching Prem women or 2s.
Yeah.
That's about right. And you're also starting to see a couple of people, like Manny at Jeeps. Like he's gone down no, I'm only interested in coaching women role, right? He did a fantastic job at Wests for a couple of years there building. He's left West. Wests are in a great position now. Fantastic new coach has come in. He was Colts 1 last year, I think, and now he's Prem's women.
Yeah.
Right. Fantastic systems, and he's taken those girls to another level. Nanny's gone to Jeeps, who had to fold their program last year. They forfeited the season last year.
Right.
And he went there, and he ended up building it back to their fielding of firsts and a seconds.
Yeah.
They're not being super competitive yet, but they've had a bit of an injury issue, which is always when you don't have great depth, injuries hurt you more.
Yes.
Right. But the point is they've been there. They've been competitive. They've won games. And that's a credit to him and the system that he put into place. I think that you're seeing and I say what it was like 5 years ago. Now I think there are a couple of teams struggling, right? You could argue that they started the season well and have just died off a little bit with injuries and attrition for other reasons. But also, more than half of the competition has got a second grade team. There was barely enough players for first grade teams. You would constantly go to first grade games 5 years ago where no team would have a full bench.
Mhm.
And playing prems, and there'd be girls on the bench who had never played a game of rugby in their life.
Yeah.
Right. And they're having their first run in prems in Brisbane. Now, no, the top clubs, and it shows in the ladder. The top clubs in the ladder are all fielding second grades, and there's talk that some of them, might have even gone close to fielding a third grade team in the sub districts comp. That is just fantastic for numerous reasons. Women's rugby is just growing, and if you spend some time and watch the Six Nations or the Super Rugby, you'll see that just the standard and quality is growing.
Yes.
And it's grown all the way back to grassroots.
Yes. Yeah. That's been my take on it as well. Look, I haven't been down for a good couple of years, but the difference in quality of play in those 2 years alone, the last 2 years, it's just incredible. It's such a great product to watch.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Everyone wants to grow. All clubs want to grow. Easiest way to grow is to have women's rugby. Because if you have 7 men's rugby teams, if you promote women's rugby, eventually you'll have 7 grades of women's rugby. If I know nothing else from raising 4 daughters, as they told me when they were growing up, young women have just as much rage in them as young men.
Yes, they are also human.
And we're just starting to see now where I'm seeing young women coming through. I coached a young women's club. Shout out to the Titans in Emerald. I started a young women's club, and we had young women at 13. They'd never played contact sport, right? So under 13s was the first year we had, right? And they'd never played. More than 60, 70% of them had never played contact sport. In the early days, over a decade ago, if you found a girl who had grown up in a rugby league family, who had some brothers that played league, and she was used to roughing and tackling and passing the ball with them, that girl was a Queensland player. If she could catch, pass, and tackle, she was a Queensland player. Now we're starting to see 18, 19, 20-year-olds that have been playing since under sixes, right? And they've had an organised competition to play in, and they are rugby players. They just happen to be female rugby players, not male rugby players. And the product is genuinely as good. It's very impressive, and the quality across the board is right there. Super Rugby for the women's yesterday. It was the knockout semi-finals. It was Western Force, the Waratahs. 2 weeks before, the Western Force beat the Waratahs for the first time ever. They also became the first Australian team to ever beat the Waratahs.
Really?
Yes. Waratahs had only ever been beaten by the Fijiana up until that point.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And the Waratahs were incredibly dominant in women's rugby for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they've come out. They got beaten 2 weeks ago by the Western Force, which propelled the Western Force into the finals. I think Queensland into the finals as well. And it was Western Force versus Waratahs. Waratahs belted them. Yeah. That's tough. It's a shame. I know. I actually know quite a lot of the young women who play on the Western Force because they played for the West Bulldogs here in Brisbane, and I had met them, Alana Scametti and Pez and a few others that are over there. I love what the Western Force have done. So the fact that the Western Force were basically a done deal, they were finished, and Twiggy Forrester, the mining magnate, stepped in and financially saved them, is just fantastic. We need more billionaires to fall in love with rugby, adopt a team and turn it into something. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. But what impressed me the most was that he didn't just do the men's team. You know, the women at the Western Force are the only players in Australia playing Super Rugby who, you know, sort of get looked after. All the other girls are expected to sacrifice all this time off work, all that sort of stuff, for really very, very, very minimal amount of money. Mm-hmm. If there's money at all, like, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's certainly not enough. It's not enough money that you or I wouldn't give out our jobs to go do that.
Yeah.
Even though we love rugby.
Even though we love, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a reasonable expectation.
Kind of wage.
Yeah, it's not a livable kind of wage.
Even that.
Whereas the Western Force have done their best. They've done a really good job at collecting some fantastic players. There's Cecilia Smith's over there. There's just some absolute quality there. That was a shame. But the Waratahs, very, very, very hard. Maya Stewart was on a rampage. Piper Duck played her socks off. They were just outstanding. And then the Reds played Fijiana in Fiji.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Always tough. Always tough. Feel like playing.
I'm assuming it was Fiji, right? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure when I was watching it on TV, it was Fiji. They've won the title. They've only been in the competition for 3 or 4 years, and I think they've won it all but one of them. You know, that Fijian style of rugby, that fearlessness,
especially playing at home.
Yeah,
Any team that plays Fiji in Fiji, like, it doesn't matter where Fiji are on the rankings. It doesn't matter. That home ground advantage for Fiji is a real leveler.
Yeah, you know, and they just proved to be too strong for Queensland. You know, Queensland are doing some things right. I will say that. One of my complaints about the QRU for a long time in regards to women's rugby was that they treated it completely separate. My opinion of the Queensland Reds women's rugby team is it really should be a representative team of our competition. Now, that hasn't always been the case. In the past, they've often taken players that are playing in Sydney and other places and they just play them in the Reds. You know, they'll bring over players from the NPC and play them in the Reds. All right. And, you know, these are players that have never played in the Brisbane comp and have no intentions of playing in the Brisbane comp.
Yeah, okay.
All right. They seem to be getting past that now, you know, like...
the standard has risen.
The standard has risen, but it's not just that. You can't expect the standard to rise if you don't put people in a higher standard to play against.
Well, that's true.
All you can do is win the competition that's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And if the competition in front of you is not quite at a standard...
Yes.
Well, is it your fault for winning it?
Yeah.
And everyone knows this. I mean, they know this in the NRL. You hear coaches talk about, we're happy for that young player to go into State of Origin camp because he'll be exposed to a higher level of player and he'll come back a better player. Yeah. So we know that's what happens, right? And we see, I remember when Carter was the 5'8" at Wests and then he got pulled into the Red squad. When he came back, you went, oh, my goodness, he was a different person. So the Reds need to really look at what they're doing with their players. I don't mean this to sound harsh, but if you're going to struggle to compete, you should be struggling to compete with people that will get better because of it, not people that have no real attachment. you know.
Yeah.
So people who finish playing their season and then go back to New Zealand or go back to where they're from,
Yeah.
right? No. You know, you want people that if they're not playing, they're down on the weekend like Salakaia-Loto was, having a run for their club side.
Yeah, that's right. And feeding back all that knowledge, that IP, if you will, back into the club.
And that's probably the other big query I have about the Reds, is they have this huge squad, and it's quite a big squad, you know, like, obviously you're 15 players for game day plus your 8 for the bench, you know, but they're taking 40 players, 36 players out of the comp.
Yeah.
And they're not playing on the weekends, but they're not allowed to come back and play club either. So they're just not getting any rugby.
Yeah.
And then once a month, they'll release a player and they'll send them back to their club and say they're allowed to play 20 minutes or they're allowed to play 40 minutes or they're allowed to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I have no dramas with you releasing them back every week if they're not playing and saying, I want them to play this position and I want them to play this many minutes.
Yeah, of course.
No dramas.
Yeah.
No dramas. That's in line with what I was saying before about us all working to the same goal. But you can't take a group of players, they've had them since November, for what is essentially a 6-week competition, which is only ending now.
Yeah.
And most of these players have not played, if they've played one game for their club, that would be one more than half the others.
Yeah, right.
You know?
There's something that does not make sense.
Does not make sense. Does not make sense.
How do you get better at playing rugby?
How does the competition improve? I'll give an example. This is delving back into the day. There was a young bloke named Scott Barton, right, who ended up coming down playing for Queensland Reds and all that sort of stuff. This was back in the amateur days. People weren't paid yet. And Scotty got picked for Queensland under-19s. And then he got picked for the Queensland Reds. But then he went... Now, he was playing A-grade for university in Rockhampton at the time. He was a solid enough player. But my brother Zach here kept him out of in the rep side. Scotty played on the wing, you played 13.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't push you out of 13.
Yeah.
Right? And then he came back from that Queensland tour. And no,
he was
he was something else.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this disrespectfully because I love Scotty. He's a great guy.
He is a great guy.
Great guy. But almost treated us with contempt.
Almost. But that was the prevailing attitude of the players back in our era too, but
yeah.
We're not supposed to like each other.
No, but when I say contempt, he was just so much better, and he came back so much better. Right? That is what should be happening with the women's Queensland Reds. Yeah. Those players should be coming back into the team, raising the standard of people around them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, here's the new bar.
Here's the new bar.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we address that. I don't know if that can be addressed. I'm sure they have their reasons, but...
Yeah, but bringing light to a situation as well, and potentially clubs can maybe flex a little, tell them, we want our players back. We're producing these players for you guys.
Yeah.
However, they're just sitting in cotton wool for 6 months of the year. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any
sense. So UQ had the bye. It's a tough road ahead for UQ. They had a slow start to the season, and they're another team that gets quite heavily molested by the Queensland Reds. You know, they've got quite a few players in there. Anything's possible, but mathematically, it would be unlikely that UQ can make the final. They would need some pretty big upset results to happen.
Okay.
I think UQ will probably collect the maximum points from the remainder of their games, but I think that still might leave them just missing the 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
They'll just miss.
Are they mathematically a chance or no?
I think UQ will win all of them. Yeah, UQ will win all of them, in my opinion. So that will give them 15 points.
Okay.
which will get them to 53 points.
Yeah.
Two of the 4 teams above them are past that anyway.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And the 2 teams above them, which is Wests and Easts, also have some easy games in the lead out home.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Respectfully. Games you expect them to win. I believe Brothers Women's have already forfeited next week.
Okay.
So they already get maximum points for that. So that puts them out of reach straight away. There's 3 teams out of reach.
Yeah.
And East are on 44 points. And so if they pick up 2 wins out of their last 3 games, they'll be out of reach too.
Okay.
Because they'll end up on 54.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, there is a mathematical thing, and I feel sorry for UQ because I think UQ make it to being a real chance.
Okay.
Right? They just that slow start to the season.
Mm-hmm.
But for on the weekend you had Bond, who the Bond women's team has won the last 2 grand finals.
Yeah.
Right? Great team. Fast. Wow, they're fast.
Mm-hmm.
Really well coached. Have a great feeder system down there with the Gold Coast sub-districts competition feeding up into their club,
mm-hmm.
Which does really well. They beat Easts 33-19. The thing with Bond is I don't think that's a bad result for Easts. The thing with Bond is they're a team that you can be really, really close, like right till the death, and then in a 10-minute span, boom, they've whacked 21 points on you, and you just don't know what's happening. Norths beat Brothers 50-5. Brothers are really struggling. Norths don't get enough credit for how much they've improved this year. Like Norths in years gone past have always been great numbers, great group of players, but they have tended to take it a little more socially.
Okay.
So, they'll often come out, give you an incredibly hard workout for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they blow out the second half of that first half.
Okay.
They come back after the break, they give you another good 10, 15 minutes, and then they blow out. Like they just don't quite have the stamina. This year that's really changed. There's a young lady, can't remember her name, she plays out in the centres. She used to be an Australian player. She is absolute quality. And I think she's bringing those quality players changes the attitude of people around her.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that. I watched Norths play maybe a month ago. They were beaten, but unluckily so. And then about a month ago, they got a 15-all draw against West's women's prem side, which was a great result for them because Wests are in the mix. They are a team that they'll get a couple of players back from the ACT Brumbies and from the Reds.
Yeah.
And that will strengthen them quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting.
Okay.
And then, Sunnybank beat Jeeps 90-0. And they were a good side earlier in the year. You knew they'd be in the mix. Then sometime halfway through the first round, there was a bit of an issue, and a group of five or so players changed clubs, and they changed to Sunnybank, and that was just the difference. And then they replace off the bench, and their depth is fantastic.
Yeah. Also,
Sunnybank have, in my opinion, the best halfback 5'8" combination in the women's comp. The halfback is well known. She's a capped player for one of the Pacific Island nations. And she's just a quality halfback. The 5'8", I remember her from when I was coaching juniors here in Redcliffe. We played against her. So I watched her come up through the under 15s, under 16s, to where she is now. Just fantastic game management. You know, got a great boot on her, real level head. She can't be more than 18, 19, maybe 20. Just plays a beautiful classic number 10 role. You know, she distributes. When she finally decides to run, it's always at the right decision. Great boot on her. You know, very interesting in the sense that Sunnybank are traditionally a side that they very Fijian style, you know, lots of pop passing, throwing the ball, doing this, doing that. And when it works, they rack up a big score. When it doesn't work, they fall apart and get beat.
Yeah.
Right? This year, you're seeing a side that knows how to grind. I watched them against Wests in the last game. Went to halftime at 17-19, I think. 17-19 to Sunnybank. They came back out. They ground. So they probably got to 24, 28, 17. And then in the last 10 minutes, they threw that ball and the score blew out. I think the score ended up being, maybe 40, 48 points to 21 or so out. Like everything they threw, someone caught. But they ground out their win first. And that's a real maturity thing that I hadn't seen in Sunnybank before. They were a team that beat you by 50 or lost in past years. I know they had a lot of success, a decade ago, but that was what I had seen. And then Wests beat Souths 73-5. Again, I would say Wests were well expected to beat Souths. Souths, I'll give them their credit. They struggled last year and ended up forfeiting the last half a dozen games last year. But they had a couple of years where they were struggling. They had a few years where they were very competitive, but they just didn't manage to build on it. But great to see them with numbers because they have numbers. They met a red hot West side yesterday. They were very, very good. Souths kept trying, and they kept trying all game. They scrummaged really well. They've got some experienced scrummagers. Sunnybank Wests are sort of pretty much a lock for the top three. And I can't see UQ getting there to knock East out of fourth. And I think that's how it'll go. I'll try in preparation for our next podcast to have a little bit more about some of the lower grades because our interest really is, we've had our bit of a say about international and super rugby, but, I don't think enough light is shone on the quality of our local comp. It's a great thing. And when you go there on a Saturday morning and you can't get a park at 9 o'clock, and there's just as many people watching fifth grade, helping their more than slightly unfit boyfriends and husbands back to the cars after their games, right? As there are watching Prems. And the quality of the Prems games now, both men and women, the quality of Colts 1. I watched
games so good.
Mate, I watched the Colts 1 game yesterday between Souths and Wests, right? Both powerhouses in that Colts area, along with brothers and others. But Souths, I think West might have been up 17-0. And I think Souths might have won it 43-24 or something. Like Souths were just ruthless. Ruthless. But the quality of those Colts games are just special. You know, you can see the next first graders and
like their evolution.
Yeah, their
like
evolution.
These kids have grown up playing the game all the way. They're hardcore rugby union players in good systems. So
yes,
I'm not saying it's no surprise, but it's more for us anyway, just raising that awareness to get down and support you like clubs.
Yeah. And if you don't have a local club, pick one.
Just pick one.
Pick one close to you. Yeah. The people are amazing, you know, and one of the great things I've always loved about rugby, you know, like I'm on to grandkids now. My children are all grown up. But they talk about Saturday at the rugby with all the other people's kids. They'd be up and down the grass hill. Almost every rugby ground has a grass hill. You know, they'd go up it, roll down it, up it, roll down it. Kids at rugby games are par for the course, and there's always someone who'll keep an eye on them, make sure they won't hurt themselves. You know, there'll always be someone who'll, if they see a kid doing something they probably shouldn't be doing, but get down there. It's a nice day, and you know your main game is usually on around 3:00. Home by 5:30. You know, watch some of these games. I mean, get your kids playing juniors. You know, and the juniors these days, it used to be girls and boys all played together until about 13 or 14. Now there's so many girls playing that they've got their own comp from about under 10s, I believe.
Yeah.
You know?
You're really seeing the value of that too. These girls that are coming through the system have played, like you said before, have played from juniors, and the quality that you're seeing now, like I'm seeing, experiencing, it's just next level.
Oh, look, it really is. And this isn't a politically correct statement. I don't care their gender. I care about the quality of their product. And the quality of the women's product at the moment is outstanding. It's really outstanding. I mean, you are watching a rugby game. And if you're a rugby lover, you're loving it.
Yeah.
You're watching a rugby game. You're not watching a lesser version.
No.
Right? Like the skill sets. When I was watching West play yesterday, West play South. Yes, okay, South's got a hiding, but the quality of the game and the quality of the patterns that West says anyone who's played a decent level of rugby knows that the higher the level you get, the harder it is to learn your patterns, your pod running, your systems. You know, you can see they were a team that even when they had it clearly won, they stuck to their structure. They played their pattern for inside their 22, their pattern from their 22 to the opposition 40, their pattern for inside the 40. They played their patterns continuously. Their 7, a young lady named Danny, squad got released earlier. They took her into the red squad as a 9, as one of the 9s that they were trialling. Sent her back and said, we won't need her again this season, but we want you to play her at 7. South Africa. She's South Africa. I think her dad might have even played for South Africa.
Probably
yeah. Mental. Had a mental game. Was just absolutely outstanding. Went really, really, really well. And you can see it. This is the great thing, what we were talking about before. I look at the West team, and I was there with some family watching, and they're going, gee, that girl's really good. I go, yeah, Reds player, released back, right? Oh, that girl's really good. Yeah, was in the Reds training squad, didn't make the final cut. That girl's really good. Reds training squad didn't make the final cut yet. They're very young. They'll get there. But the point is, they came back from the 3-month Red training squad just before the season. They make a cut down to whatever their final squad numbers are.
Yes.
The ones that come back from that, they come back, they're fit, they've learnt programs, they've trained with better quality players at a better quality and level thing, and they just turn it on, and it shows, And the difference, a really good example, so Jess is the halfback, the starting halfback for Wests. OG made the Red squad at the end of last year. last week, for instance, she was taken off early because there was an injury concern to the Reds halfback, and the Reds rang up and said we only wanted to play 15 minutes, then take her off just in case we need her, right? She's turned into a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened is the backup halfback, who has been playing second grade for the last few years, she's gone to a different level.
Yeah, right.
Because she's training with someone who's gone to a different level.
Yeah.
And they're training together at training.
Yeah.
And they're sharing, OG's sharing her knowledge, her wisdom, and her skill. Mm-hmm. Right. And you're seeing the difference. The difference is this young girl who, when I looked at her 2 years ago in second grade, you went, well, she loves rugby, she wants to play, but she got picked at halfback because she's tiny.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't have a particularly strong pass. Yeah. Was often late to the back of her ruck, would often pick the ball up and step around looking. Mm-hmm. All that's changed. Yeah. All that's changed. She's there, crisp passes, aware of the environment before she touches the ball. She's box kicking. Yeah. That's happened because she's been exposed to Jess, mm-hmm. who was exposed to the Reds structure.
Training. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the quality is a trickle down effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On that note,
next week, who's playing next week?
Next week, I think everyone's got a break, so we might take a break.
In the local comp, I'll tell you who's local comp next week. West women have the bye. Brothers women are playing Sunnybank, but I believe they've already forfeited that game. Right. Jeeps, first grade women, are playing Easts. That will be a really good game. East need to win these games. That you would expect that they would. But if Jeeps was to roll, to upset them, which I think Jeeps is perfectly capable of doing. Jeeps' best team on paper is a very good team. They've just a little bit lacking in depth because they didn't have a program last year at all. Okay. They had to start from scratch, right? And Manny's done a really good job with that. Yeah. But they've had to start from scratch. Yeah. And he's accessed a lot of non-playing players, and he's bringing them along. Yeah. So, but they could get up there. Yep. That leaves UQ to play Souths. I think UQ, with their Reds players back next week, might be a bit too strong. Right? And Bond play Norths, which that'll be down the Gold Coast. Strange thing about city people, we come from the country, so travelling for rugby was always the thing. Mm-hmm. City people think the Gold Coast is a travel, and they freak out because, so it'll hopefully Norths will travel up there strong and give Bond a good hit out for their money. Uh-huh. But I do expect Bond to get away with that one. Now, for the men, the women follow the men's games. So we'll have Bond versus Norths, which will be really good. That'll be a really good game because Norths are in second, which is a fantastic result for them. Bond are just outside the 4 and defending premiers, and they'll be at home. So I think that will be a tremendous good. Brothers Sunnybank. I can't see Sunnybank troubling Brothers. Brothers might start resting a few players. This time of the year, it's a bit of a limp towards the finals. You've got a few blokes carrying some niggling stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Brothers rest some players. But I still think they'll be a bit too much. Jeeps versus Easts. East are a really good side. The men's team is a really good team. I expect them to be in the mix in the finals. Yeah. And that will be, I think they'll be too much for Jeeps. South versus UQ, I think, could be the game of the round. Both those teams are really good. I think last year Souths finished maybe minor premiers. And then got knocked out in successive games. Oh, really?
1-2, yeah.
Yeah, 1-2 out. But so the red heavies are always and West have got the bye.
Yeah.
So we will be back in a couple of weeks.
Some weeks. All right, all good.
Cheers.
Next time.